Well, we'll go on.
This breaking news gives us a new topic to talk about, definitely on the other side. A Senate minority leader, he's ranking leader in the Senate because Republicans are not in leadership majority. Mitch McConnell will step down from his post in November. And we know that he is the longest serving Senate leader in history who's maintained his power in the face of dramatic convulsions in the Republican Party for nearly 2 decades. They've had a lot of change. Well, let's not even ignore the stuff that's happened on the other side and is happening now. I'm reading to you, just so you know, from the Associated Press. So it is written with some interesting color. McConnell just turned 82 last week and was set to announce his decision today in well of the Senate, a place where he looked in awe from its back benches in 1985 when he arrived, and where he grew increasingly comfortable in front row seat afforded by party leaders. Again, Mitch McConnell is stepping down, and he'll leave his job as the leader of Republicans in the Senate in November. He has taken a lot of heat lately, some of it over deals that Republicans, wider, particularly in the House across chamber, have not agreed upon. This latest round on the border bill, which originally had aid for Ukraine, $60+ billion. It had, money for other countries like Israel in the Hamas war, so on and so forth. But it only had a smaller amount, not even a third of what was going to Ukraine for the U.S. border, and it was a border bill. Now, what were the conversations like that got Republicans in the Senate to the point where that would even be under discussion, because Republicans in the House had already sent H.R. 2. Jason, I come to you. You were a leadership for Republicans in the House. You were chairman of the Oversight Committee. You've been on the Hill. What does his departure mean in November?
Look, he will be widely applauded for his leadership and his contributions, particularly in shepherding in very conservative justices. I think he led that effort, and if you look at the makeup of the Supreme Court, you can thank Mitch McConnell.
Mostly under Trump.
Mostly under Trump, but leading the way through that. This is the right move. Republicans needed some new leadership. I think he's making it at the right time. I really did appreciate Mitch McConnell for recently, in the last couple of days, signaling that he was going to endorse Donald Trump, because it's no secret that the two did not get along. But to come together to fight to win the presidency for the Republican Party, I think was an important move.
Yeah, and it's an interesting point, Tammy, because he's staying through November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Can we just talk about the heat that McConnell has felt recently?
Well, he's had some health issues. Those were very public. That was another indication that, Americans were thinking, we do need some change. Trump's popularity is an indication, separate from the man himself, that Americans are tired of the status quo. He represents that status quo. There's arguments from the Democrat side and the Republicans about age. Well, that's not always an issue. It's the associated problems with age. But we have this man to thank for keeping Merrick Garland off the Supreme Court. Let's not forget about the nature of power, and he's been able to wield it. What's troubled people are the problems America's facing, and when he hasn't wielded it, when he hasn't used that power to do things that were right. Because as we were discussing, we still have immigration issues. We have economic issues. We have budget issues. The dumb fight, frankly, between him and Trump. The American people are having a say, and I think clearly for a variety of reasons, this is the correct move.
Emily?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. He's 82 years old. And when you look at the news surrounding him lately, it was all about wrestling with a possible endorsement. Of course, there were reports that and Speaker Johnson's sort of the nudging, as it was called, about the Ukraine bill. But essentially, people were sort of writing about that apex and saying, is he going to have to, what's the phrase, eat your hat and actually endorse him? And could that be truly palatable? And so the question sort of remains as you analyze why. That might have a lot to do with it if he felt it was just impossible for him to do. They've not spoken reportedly since 2020 and have been clearly acrimonious in public. Interesting questions.
Kayleigh?
Yeah, there's been some reporting over the past few days about, some of the acrimony that has happened between Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump. They apparently haven't spoken since December of 2020.
Yeah,
but the New York Times was reporting that they are trying to make bygones be bygones. They're trying to pave a way for an endorsement. So interesting this comes on the heels of that. I think a legacy, to Jason's point, which he will be remembered for, and he touted widely, is that for the first time in 40 years, there was not a single circuit court vacancy anywhere in the nation for the first time. And that was as of 2020. So he did a lot in that regard. But finally, I think we must look forward to who succeeds him. And Politico has said, we don't know who will succeed him, but we know the person's name is likely John, either John Thune or John Cornyn. I would note John Cornyn endorsed Trump in January. John Thune did so 2 days ago. That will be interesting to see. Clearly, they're trying to remain in step with what the Republican base is telling us in these elections.
All right. We are now learning that Senator Mitch McConnell is set to make remarks at 12:30, which is literally 13 seconds from now. We'll see if he's on time. I'm going to ask the team in our control room if we have a shot of the lectern where he will walk to and what we can show. So, Jason, you were talking about the timing of this, but the inevitability of this as well, just in terms of where he is in his career and maybe what he might want to do at this point other than politics.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's been a fixture. Look, he went to the United States Senate when I was a senior in high school. So, he's been there a while. And he is quite a voice. He has lost his step. He has, to Tammy's point, he has had some health issues. And it's just time for a natural transition. At the same time, you've got to be able to make sure that you don't give up that seat too soon, because the makeup of the Senate is such that you don't want to give up that vote. That lame duck session in between the swearing in of a new president and the election there's always nefarious stuff happening.
But he's leaving in November.
Great point.
Well, but he will. This is where they need to clarify. Maybe he's leaving the post as the minority leader, but not leaving the Senate as a senator. That's a big question.
The AP report doesn't say that.
And I'm just saying, based on what I heard, that's a question, because you've got to be able to give time. How they elect and put in a new senator in replacement is different than how they do House members.
You're right. Okay, so the latest write-through says, quoting Mitch McConnell, "So I stand before you today to say that this will be my last term as Republican leader in the Senate." I got you. That was such a great point. Okay, we're coming right back. We're covering the breaking news right here on Outnumbered.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.